Welcome to On the Couch, a regular catch-up where we discuss and try and solve some of the problems facing marketing today. I'm joined by Mahesh Enjeti, the Managing Director of SAI Marketing Counsel. Welcome, Mahesh.
Thank you, Darren.
Look, Mahesh, I noticed that on your ebook that you shared with me, that it says you're a brand developer, architect, builder and restorer. What do you mean?
I've been in marketing for over 40 years, and I suppose I've been involved with branding since day one. I never realized it was brand management at that point in time, but I've sort of worked across sectors, across different countries, across different products, and I probably have created new brands, repositioned brands. I have relaunched brands, and I think that sort of gives me the credentials to claim all of those titles.
Well, with that experience and the diversity of experience in brands, is it true that the more things change, the more they've stayed the same?
I think to a large extent you're right, Darren. I sort of compare it to, I come from a physics background, the law of physics remaining constant, but we might have new structures using new forms of technology, new buildings come up, cantilevers and buildings which don't have any pillars. But the fundamental laws of branding are still the same. And I think it's how we communicate the brands to people and how people are accessing different media. That is what is changing.
Yeah, new tools to do the same job. But the other thing is that I've found that when I talk about brands and branding to people, there's a lot of confusion about what a brand is. A lot of people seem to be stuck on things like logotypes and trademarks. It's almost like the brand is a tangible thing. But it's more than that, isn't it?
It's really funny how people get so fixated with the tangibles, like the logo, the tagline, the color scheme. In fact, I tell people, you look at Google, and Google appears in so many different forms, depending on what is topical on a particular day. Doesn't mean that that brand is not consistent. No, it's not. So I think if you look at fundamentally, a brand is about who you are, what you stand for, what is your purpose, and how you behave with people, your employees, your customers, your suppliers, the environment, the community, the tax office, even your competitors.
So it really has a deeper role than just being a marketing tool for a business.
It does. I mean, we try and encapsulate what the brand stands for in a promise, but it goes beyond that. In fact, a lot of it happens in terms of the delivery of the customer experience, which is why I often say experience is the brand and brand is the experience. And once you get that right, then I think you're in business.
Yeah, because a lot of what we see around what's called branding seems to be around promises and propositions. But what you're saying is that there's a deeper role here for brand within a business.
If you don't have the delivery aligned with the promise, then you don't have a brand. Because ultimately when people buy brands, they're buying a certain assured level of satisfaction and value. And if that's not delivered, where is the brand? So I think it's more important to make sure that the delivery is in alignment with the promise. And that is a much more complex area than just communicating the brand.
So what about the big conversations that are happening with marketers around the idea of brand purpose? How does that fit in to the way brands actually interact or engage with customers?
I think, to be honest, some of this conversation is perhaps getting out of hand, and I think everybody's claiming that noble purpose. It's almost become fashionable to talk about brand purpose, and I get a little concerned about that. I think every brand has a fundamental purpose, which is why do you have this product or service? It has to do a job, as Clayton Christensen from Harvard says. The product has to do a job. What is the job that the product is hired to do? But you could also have some noble altruistic purpose. But if you don't have one, you cannot claim one, because that is probably the surest way to get people disenfranchised with your brand. I think purpose is important, but as long as it's credible, as long as it's relevant, as long as it is true.
Because we're seeing a lot of companies trying to find purpose as a way of almost gluing the organisation together. Is that part of the role of a brand?
I think purpose, if it is sort of stems from the vision of the company, why is it in business in the first place, then I think it can help in galvanizing the people to be sort of, to be motivated to deliver on the brand, because the brand delivery has to happen through the people. So if there is a sort of alignment between what your brand promise is and what your brand delivery is, if you have a purpose that is clearly articulated and people are able to sort of align themselves with that purpose. But just having a purpose for the sake of being, newsy, and because everyone else has got a purpose, I think that can be counterproductive.
Trying to make yourself different or distinctive by coming up with a purpose.
Exactly right, yeah.
But we live in a world of quarterly reporting and profitability, and there seems to be a greater focus, especially when economic times are tough. How do you get brand as to be seen as part of the value creation?
I think this probably can happen if you look at brand value not just from the customer's point of view, but brand value from the business point of view. What is the value the brand is delivering for the business? And I have a very simple way of looking at it. Are you able to sell more of your product or service at the same price? Or are you able to sell the same amount of product or service at a higher price? If you can do that, I think that is the difference that the brand is making to your product or service. So brand value manifests itself in terms of your ability to sell more without discounting, which a lot of marketers do, or ability to sell at a higher price. And this is something which people can understand very easily. Yes, you have very sophisticated ways of measuring brand value, which are probably more robust and more rigorous. But I think if you can communicate that within companies, then
yeah, you're right. It's the great conundrum between sales and marketing, because sales is measured on volume.
True.
And marketing should be measured on margin or premium.
That's right.
Shouldn't it?
In fact, I think salespeople should be remunerated on the basis of their contribution to profit, not necessarily the volume of sales they make or the dollar value of the sales they make.
So within organisations, where do you think the responsibility should lie? Because we're seeing now the CMO becoming the chief customer officer or the chief experience officer. Where should brand responsibility lie within an organisation?
I think this fragmentation of titles is something that really concerns me. We got chief experience officers, chief strategy officers, chief marketing officers,
digital officers.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, whoever is in marketing needs to be the focal point for, they not only need to be the voice of the customer within the company and at the board level, but also the people who I'm not saying that all the authority should rest with marketers, but they need to be the champion for within the organization, and they need to sort of coordinate with everyone else in the organization to be able to deliver that customer promise at the end of the day, because everyone is responsible for the brand and in terms of the brand being able to deliver on its promise, which can only happen if there is one champion who spearheads that cause within the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mahesh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren.
And thank you for joining us on the couch. Make sure you subscribe on the Trinity P3 YouTube channel, and we'll be back with more on the couch very soon. Thank you.